And then we'll be back from Web3 and decentralization, but we'll talk about democratization, and we'll have a talk from Sébastien Bergougnoux, a journey from ESB to APIs and service mesh, especially using open source technology. So ESBs were really centralized, protocol systems and applications. And we'll see that how with open source, maybe, or in your recent technology, you can decentralize either the IP of it, but also decentralize how it interacts, how we can have microservices and meshes and everything to decentralize the application and infrastructure. So this is why we have Sébastien with us. Hello, Sébastien.
Hello, Mehdi. How are you?
I'm doing well. And with us, or with you, we have also...
we have Johan, our CTO.
Johan. Yeah, perfect. Hello. Thank you, Johan. Thank you to be there.
Sorry, we have to wear the mask because we are two in the same room. So.
Of course, you have to, you should. That's a good practice. So yeah, please share your screen with us. Yeah, and let's go.
Okay, thanks. So we can we have put a little picture so you can see us without the mask. So I am Sébastien, and Johan is next to me. So I am a CEO of a company called Devoteam nexDigital, part of Devoteam Group. Maybe Johan, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, and I'm working with Sébastien as a CTO of this entity.
Thank you, Johan. So as Mehdi said, today we will talk about a customer use case who went from an ESB approach to an API approach and then to a service mesh approach. So quickly, a quick word about Devoteam and who we are. So Devoteam is an IT service company. So we are providing IT services all around the EMEA. Devoteam today, it's more than 8,000 people, 8,000 consultants, helping our customer in modernizing their IT infrastructure and be ready to address the new world and the new business needs. At the heart of Devoteam approach, there is a strong meaning that it's very important to work with platform and software vendors. That's why we are really building our expertise around our partners. And partners will be Amazon, Google Cloud, and Microsoft, the top three cloud platform providers. And we are also partnering with Salesforce, so number one in CRM and integration platform with MuleSoft and ServiceNow. So within Devoteam at nexDigital, what we do is that we really believe that providing the best technology to our customer will really help them to be better in their business transformation, in their business. Our main areas of intervention with our customer is helping them on their IT modernization and also helping them in really being more easy to exchange data within the IT system, but also with their partners and customers. So really our job is to help customers exchanging data, putting data in motion within the IT system or in a south-north approach. And this in a hybrid world, meaning on cloud platforms, on data centers, on-premise systems. And again, as we are part of Devoteam, we also believe that it is very important to work closely with software vendors and our partners. And our partners are MuleSoft, part of Salesforce, Confluent, the inventors of Kafka, and Kong, a very innovative and interesting company who are building their success on API management and service mesh. And the use case we will present today is based on Kong. So maybe Johan?
Yeah. So our conviction on the way that we see the exchange of the data, on how to use the data, and the way that we advise our customer is to go to simplicity, but simplicity ensuring quality and security, which is very important. So within the enterprise and for clients and partners, performance is still a big challenge, and this is so important now that you need to have the right performance in terms of data exchange so that it has some value. And agility is really one of the main topics that we deliver also in terms of approach for integration, because we saw so many projects which was not so much agile, and then there is a lot of things to do to transform the IT.
Yeah, just to add a quick word on that, it's very difficult to imagine what the future will be. We have a great experience, a lot of experience on IT and architecture, but we are not able to say what will be the platform of 5 years from now. So what we are providing to our customer is more an agile platform, an agile way of building their platform, so they are ready for the next step, the next transformation.
So for solving these challenges, we propose usually kind of a hybrid platform with different topics, which is for sure API management for internal and external access, and probably also services that can be that can run in a grid architecture, and for all that is in synchronous and so on, we strongly believe that streaming platforms are really the way to go.
Yeah, so really 3 pillars: API first, service-oriented architecture, and event-driven platform.
So the use case, the customer use case, which is in the context of in insurance, this is really a journey that was for many years now, from ESB to more modern architecture. And so I will start to describe the different steps of the journey and when we are now with the customer.
Yeah, this is a customer we started working with something like almost 10 years ago, providing them a nice open source ESB, which was MuleSoft at this time, and then they transformed themselves years after years to move to a service mesh platform today.
Okay, so first ESB, it was many years ago. So at this time, there is really different protocol to address different part of the information system. The main standard at this time was SOAP protocol, and in a way, having an ESB was a good thing, because the orchestration that it proposed, and it was already a kind of a DevOps platform, as you have the ability to package, to deploy, then to scale, and to see everything from an administration tools and so on. So it was very popular and very good to use. But then it has also its pain points, and also the IT really evolved. So first the standard change, and now synchronous communication are mainly API based and not so much SOAP. CI/CD became really mature in terms of every language, every platform and code, and your ability to deploy, scale, monitor, and so on. It's much more mature now. That so the value that ESB brought with its platform reduced a little. And for this customer especially, there was this concern of having everything in the ESB mixed in the same flows, meaning that you have the security aspect, the business logic transformation aspect, orchestration, all of the same place, and it results in difficulties in organization and the way that you can deliver your project. On top of that, for sure, you need more vendor-specific consulting, and sometimes scaling means also more expensive. So there was a choice for the customer to go to a new architecture, more writing some services in Java and having an API model. And for them, it means really to be able to develop different granularity of services, which the ability to fit with their organization and their project and the way they see the deployment also. And so as there are a lot of legacy to address, they went to a facade pattern to have different possibilities of first expose the API and then make the rest evolve at their own rhythm. And there was for sure a need of an API gateway because they are communicate with partner, and there are really a time to market issue. They needed to put right away an API gateway with the right level of security at this time. And so Kong open source was really the right software for them. So they start very fastly and being able to put the first API exposition to their partner in production. And then came the Kong Gateway Enterprise version project, so that they can address more features. So among the features, I will describe some of them. There was the portal project with the ability to have internal user, external user with different possibility of registering the portal, benefits from the single sign-on for internal developers and having a more registration lifecycle for the external access. Among the other projects, there was a very interesting referential project that they put in place. It means that on top of the API gateway and their development, they developed a new application to have all the things referenced in one place, using a Java library to know what was running in terms of service, and using the Kong admin API to be able to retrieve also everything that was linked with the upstream services, and develop a nice application internal so that can monitor in the same application the API exposition and the API workload running in Java. Other part really important in the project for sure was security, and implement the standard OIDC flows with an external IDP, and so the Kong Enterprise and with this OIDC plugin help a lot of that. And the focus was really to use the scope of the IDP really in terms of organization from them. It means that the team responsible from the Kong and API exposition, they were only using some generic scope to do the authorization, and people responsible for the IDP and then the partner access and everything like that can then define and modify the authorization based on scope at their level and with their role in the enterprise. Sorry. And it leads to a nice API exposition to the partners, but they want also to use API internally. So they start to say, okay, we have some facade API, and we have to communicate between our services and so on. And they have one API gateway in the DMZ, and they start to use it also to communicate between their internal API. And it makes it made a lot of complexity in terms of network communication, firewall, and so on. So at this moment, they start to think of having a different level of API gateway, meaning one for the external, one for other subnets, and so on. But this was really the right moment for them and us to discuss about the service mesh pattern and how they can benefit from this pattern for their service-to-service communication. So the way that we present them, we firstly present the service mesh concept, and as there was strong Kong enterprise users, we present also the Kong approach, and we reference some standard article from Marco Palladino, CTO of Kong, which highlights the difference between API gateway and service mesh. And we start to discuss the concept and see that it can fit with their service-to-service communication. And the approach then was to really to try to do prototype, to do some POC, and to see how it will fit with their architecture. So Kuma, the open source product of Kong, which address the service mesh pattern, was chosen, and the criteria to see if it answered the needs was really about a different level, but one level were really the infrastructure, meaning that at this stage the customer has really a lot of VM, and they want to migrate to Kubernetes, but it's an ongoing project. So they needed a product that can address at the same time the VM infrastructure and also the Kubernetes one. So it results to an hybrid infrastructure in Kuma, and if you look at the Kuma product, you are able to have a global control plane which address different zones of your infrastructure, and so they choose to have one zone in the VM, one zone in the Kubernetes, and see how the service can communicate with the right policy. Kuma is using Envoy as a proxy, and you can, via the control plane, enforce Envoy policy. And then you can route communication from service to service inside one zone or between the different zones. So in few words, the feedback and the benefits that we've seen in this prototype, there was really no blocker during the setup. It was really easy to install and set up and make the service communicated. Each time do you have a question, the Slack channel of Kuma, which is the community channel, is a very good place to ask questions. One good thing for them is the easy integration with the Kong gateway, meaning that if you communicate with external partner, you still expose your API. It enters the Kong gateway, and as soon as Kong gateway routes the API call, it is already into the mesh. And for them, it reduces a lot of complexity in terms of networking, because they have this API gateway to expose, and then the mesh will do the job to route the service and to route the communications. And one very good aspect for them is this hybrid infrastructure, which allows them to prepare the migration between VM and Kubernetes. It means that if you have a workload running on the VM, if tomorrow you run it in Kubernetes, the service mesh will act with this routing policy, and for the other API, they will still address to their local proxy, and the communication will still work even if you migrate your workload from a VM to a Kubernetes. In terms of open challenges, there is still how to use all that they have built in terms of custom things, such as their referential. How that will be possible to benefit from Kuma or transform their referential. And the other thing is how do you have this transversal security model, as before they have only the API gateway and everything was done in the identity provider. Then here you have some security things inside the Kuma control plane to have the right policy and to be able to to manage your certificate or your security policy in the mesh. The key element, it's the IT standards evolve very fast, and so we see in this customer years by years they adopt new things, but step by step, and they never hesitate to start with simple versions, simple use case, to start and introduce the technology, test it, and see if it fits. And I would say that the more you implement and you do the things, the more you will first learn, but also you will have the ability to decide. And this is really the way that we are working with them and with other customers. I think we are just on time for the Q&A.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your presentation. So, do you think like EDIs is now a technology of the past, and we will never see EDIs again as a new implementation?
It's always strong to say, because it depends of the partners you discuss with. I mean, here the project was really driven because there was both. I mean, all the partners in this ecosystem was where there was an agreement of saying, okay, API of the future, we have to use API. If you are in another ecosystem where EDI is really here and you have a very conservative approach, it's really difficult to force your partner to say, okay, now it's API. It's difficult.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Last question, but also about, to your mind, when a company knows it's ready for service mesh. We've seen many companies who tried for the hype, but were like, what's the real moment when you say, okay, now I think service mesh is finally what we need?
Yeah, I think, I mean, from this experience, it's when you start to have already have some pain of defining some architecture that does not make so much sense, because you multiply your component and your gateway, firewall, F5 and so on to do service-to-service communication, where you don't have it's not really the value of your API management system, but you start to fix things to make them communicate, and then you see how it works with service mesh and say, okay, that's really one possibility.
Yeah, when you have to go, every time you make a discussion between two microservices and you have to go through the API management platform, so maybe it's time to move to a service mesh approach and not go every time through the API gateway or the API management platform.
So I would say, when you start to think about going to Kubernetes, either hybrid infrastructure and so on, you start really to think microservice and discussing between services. And then it's maybe time to say, okay, how I will handle this internal communication.
Yeah, that makes that makes a lot of sense. It's just sometimes we had one engineer of Netflix, but that was 2 years ago, who said, if you think you need service mesh, you don't need service mesh. It has to be obvious you need it. If you just think it, you don't need it, right? You know?
Yeah, it has to bring values.
Yeah, you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's also a matter of money, because going through an API management platform, sometimes it takes money every time you call an API. So you say, okay, I don't want to go and have everything through my API management platform, and maybe use a more direct or service mesh approach.
Yeah. Okay. Last comment, but someone is telling, are API management the new ESBs?
Part of.
I think it's not really. It's really the microservice who does the job then, to do the mappings and the deciding business things and so on. And ESB, I would say, it becomes what should have been ESB in the old time, but then it was used differently, and a lot of business things was done in the ESB, and it should be done in an applicative program where the project can manage their project and not rely on a central team who has to develop all their business flows.
Yeah, what we see today and remains a strong argument for ESB is that they have all those connectors. So SAP connectors, Monday connector, Workday connector, anything connectors. And this is something built in the ESB and really is the integration of everything. So this is really a key argument for still having an ESB. Otherwise, yeah, you have to develop everything in microservices, but yeah. So it's really a choice of, if you want everything pre-built, go for an ESB and you will have everything in this toolbox. If you want to build everything by yourself or use a framework like you can find in standard development, you can go to microservices and develop it from scratch.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, both of you. Thank you for this, explaining how technology is being democratized, especially with open source, but also about new concept like service mesh. Thank you very much, and hope to see you at the next Apidays conference.